You are listening to Curious Cat, the podcast that examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. And I'm your host, Jennifer Holtz. Join me every week as I examine what it means to be a soul in a meat suit. Welcome to Curious Cat. Today, we have a special guest. You know them as the artist, SomeKindof.Fae, behind my fabulous podcast identity. So if you like that Curious Cat art, you're going to love Nora. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful.
I'm so glad. And Nora is here today to talk about Astrology 101 because I literally don't know anything, Nora. I know I think it's my sun sign is Sagittarius, and that's about the extent of it. So let's go back to the basics. Where and when did your love of astrology emerge? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, of course. It's actually funny because the place where I grew up, which you happen to know, it was very tech culture. And so everyone was very anti-astrology. So for a long time, I kind of dismissed it and actually got really deep into other types of magic before I looked into it. And then at this bookstore, I ended up finding this planner and it had like all this astrological detail and it just went right over my head. And I was like, well, this is interesting. There's so much to this. Like, it's worth investigating. So I remember just over the year, I was like, I'm just going to learn a little bit more about astrology every day and just kind of like, so I can read this planner so I can understand it. And it kind of just went from there.
Oh my God, that is amazing. So before we get into like the overview of the basics, did you basically use the books to kind of learn about yourself first, or were you looking at like broadly at everybody, like trying to figure out everybody's shit because of the astrology? I don't know.
Yeah, well, actually, there's a lot of different types of astrology. So astrology is like a language or a system, and you can apply it to many different things and interpret it differently. So the first type I was looking at would be called electional astrology, and it's basically interpreting the current planets and aspects for everyone, kind of how it'll set the mood for the day for everyone. So that was kind of something I was trying to use to kind of plan my life a little bit better, like to know when there'd be hard days or, better days for something creative or things like that.
Oh my God. Okay, that's genius because we'll talk about it later in the episode. But I was, and we'll tell them about that that whole piece of this puzzle. But you were saying you have told me about that, and I've looked at that. Like some days you're going to be more creative, some days the ideas are just going to flow, some days it's going to be more like you're going to be better at organizing. And so it's like having an owner's manual for yourself to know astrology about yourself. So, like I said, I know very little. I was born as Sagittarius because I'm December 2nd. And so that's my sun sign, right? I mean,
Yes. So that would be from your natal chart. So your natal chart is like a snapshot of the cosmos at the moment and the place you were born. So your sun is just one part of it. And for people whose sun sign don't resonate, they should really look at the rest of their chart because if everything else goes in another direction, maybe that'll resonate more with them. But
yeah.
yeah, Sagittarius, that's the truth seeker, divine wisdom, finding that
Wow.
knowledge.
I'm not going to let you walk away from that little nugget that you threw out there because you said that the sun sign, which most of us know as like our birth sign, I'm just telling you from the layman's perspective, all of us think that's the be all and end all of astrology because you're saying, look at the rest of your chart. So can you tell us about the rest of our chart? Like what are all the other juicy nuggets we can dive into?
Yes. Oh my God, so many. So basically, yeah, the sun is kind of your outward expression and maybe certain themes of your incarnation. But there's so many other signs. So if you look at your moon, that's your inner world. So that's probably going to be more how you see yourself, is your moon sign. So, for instance, my moon is in Taurus. So that's more how I see myself. It happens to be similar to my sun sign. So
Oh,
it's kind of
wow.
consistent for me. But
Yeah.
it's that inner world, it's your emotions, it's that sensitive part of you.
Hmm.
And there's so many other planets. So, you have Mars, Venus, Mercury. People include, certain asteroids. So there's like Chiron, Vesta, and all of these
Wow.
symbols just represent different parts of you. And even the way they're laid out in the chart can start to tell a story. And evolutionary astrologers can also look into planets like Saturn and Pluto and your north nodes, and those things kind of can indicate your past lives if you believe in that, or your early life if you
Yes.
don't. Um, and they can indicate the kind of what you need to do to change, what you need for evolution for the rest of your life. So there's so many
Oh,
different details.
have you, okay, this is probably too much information, but I have to hit you with it because have you ever looked into the fact that you were, conceived under Hale Bopp Comet? Have you ever looked at that aspect of you?
I've researched it and I just didn't find anything. I think because it's
Yeah,
so rare. I just
it
didn't
is so
see.
rare.
Yeah. I think that astrology tends to work with recurring patterns. So
Yeah.
it kind of works with that law of the universe that everything happens almost musically in harmonies and melodies and these patterns. And by looking at these kind of cosmic patterns, we can start to put together some knowledge. People have been looking at them for thousands of years, and so they've started to figure out what these patterns mean, at least in astrology. There's kind of that system. So I don't know, Hale Bob comment might be too brief for
It
that.
It's interesting because it's just been coming up for me a lot this week. And I've been finding that even like Mark Twain has these threads toward Hale-Bopp Comet, and he felt like he was going to die. He predicted he would die during Hale-Bopp Comet, and he did. And like there's all
Wow.
these different like threads throughout history. So it's kind of interesting to me. But so if I'm to understand it right, it is important where you were born. It's not just about the day and the time you were born, but the actual geographical place you were born. Because isn't that like, I don't know how things line up? That's what creates your sign? I don't know. Is that bad?
No, not at all. So it the planets and the asteroids and comets, they're all going to be in the same position just based on that time that you're born. But the place that you're born on the earth, like the latitude and the longitude, that determines where that horizon is. So what is up in the sky, where it is in the sky, what's down below. So it's interesting because, planets that were up and in the sky where and when you were born, they're said to be part of more of your outward expression, more the overt part of you. And the ones that were kind of below the earth, so from where you were born, you couldn't see them. They're kind of more hidden aspects of you, or maybe more inner aspects of you.
Oh my gosh, that just resonated so deeply with me. So it's almost like your shadow self is the planets that are
Yeah.
beneath. So, okay, so you've been studying multiple kinds of astrology, and I a few that I can remember are evolutionary and tropical astrology. Do you want to teach us about like um, those and what the differences or what the nuances are of those?
Yes, yeah, I'd be happy to.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
oh my God, I know it's so fun. I love talking about
It
this.
is so fun.
So, tropical astrology is basically a way of differentiating because there are multiple different systems of astrology that have existed for, once again, thousands of years. And in India, they practice a different type of astrology. And if you get a reading in it, it's very accurate still. And if anything, there's many similarities across them, but they are different. There's different names, there's different ways of analyzing. And that's called Vedic astrology. So I've
Ooh,
practiced tropical astrology, which is, I guess, more quote unquote Western. I hate
okay.
that term, but
Yeah, right.
and then so tropical astrology can embody, it's that system that we're using in general, where we're using the specific zodiac of that. So, like Aries, Taurus, Gemini, etc. And then there's different ways of interpreting it. So evolutionary astrology is looking more at, if you believe in past lives, it's looking more at indicators of your past lives and of ways to evolve or grow in this life. But there's, general natal chart astrology looks at kind of the story of your life or the story of you.
Ooh.
And, it can focus more on things like your sun, your ascendant, and your moon. And those three are very useful for understanding your personality, in your inner part of your personality, your outer part. But they're more about specifically this life and this incarnation, and less about bringing in the past. What are your patterns from the past? What patterns do you need to change? And that would be more evolutionary.
Oh, okay. That makes so much sense. So you can even do this to see like what your strengths might be in different relationships. Isn't that true?
Oh my goodness, yes. So you can actually there's a couple types of relationship astrology, and you could use
Ooh.
them with a partner or with anyone. And
Mhm.
they're basically, so one is a composite chart. So that is where you take the charts of the two people and you kind of average them, if you will. So that
Okay.
gives you a sense of like what you guys are like together. What does your relationship look like? What's the
Wow,
theme of your relationship?
you just blew my mind a little bit. I can see all of our listeners going to their coworkers. What was your birthday again? Remind me where you were born and what time, because then you can find out how to work in teams together better, or who to maybe I've got to give myself a little more time or grace with this person because we have some serious stuff. So,
Yes.
so I totally interrupted you, and my apologies for that, but
Oh, it's the
it was so
truth.
interesting. Yeah.
It's hard not to want to do it with everyone, like once you learn about it. But well, the other one is synastry. So you kind of
Ooh.
have two options there for analysis. So synastry is actually where you keep your charts separate, but you lay them over each other. And then you look at the interactions. So where does my sun line up over your chart? Well, that
Yeah.
can indicate, how I'm going to meet you, um, what my influence is going to be on you. Because whenever I'm around you, if my sun is like right over, let's say, your house of abundance, that means that
Yeah.
whenever I'm around you, I'm acting as like an effect on your abundance. I'm probably boosting your abundance or making you think about it or impacting you in that way.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. And so that feels like also with like your most intimate relationship, like with a partner, it's like you hear about that twin flame thing. And I feel like that sometimes could be, if you looked at their astrological chart, it might be kind of the inverse of what your chart is. Is that weird?
It could be the inverse. Definitely, there could be some clear opposites in your chart, or there are some other aspects actually that could be there. So I think you could see some stuff around karma. And it's funny, I've actually looked at all of my relationships in synastry, and all of them had karmic aspects. It doesn't mean they were all
Really?
twin flames, but it means that maybe
Yes.
we were healing karma together. They were all kind of predestined to resolve something, which I think is really fascinating.
Dude, it makes so much sense. You are such an ancient soul, and it makes so much sense. Like we've talked about it off camera for like hours and hours about how like our souls have definitely been a part of each other's spheres and tribes for like God knows how long. But I feel like that with like when I look at the people in your life, the same thing as well. And I see it like even with you and your sister, like I see it as well. You guys have that karma, and it's so beautiful, this healing and stuff. So on my birthday's coming up. Spoiler alert, it'll already have come and gone, but when we put this out here. But I asked Nora to because Nora was saying it's very important. Now you understand why. It's important where you spend, your birthday geographically. And then it's really important where you are in your half birthday as well. And so I reached out to Nora and I said, can you give me some of the strengths and weaknesses if I'm able to go to 3 different places for my birthday? And the 3 places were Kirkland, like just stay home in Washington State in Kirkland, go to Santa Barbara area, or go to the Denver area. So those are my 3 options. And it's funny because the universe was like, ha ha ha, you don't have any choices. But we didn't know that at the time. And I reached out to Nora, and Nora reached back to me with this grouping of questions about what I would like to happen for my year, like what I'd like to bring up, what I would like to strengthen, what I would like my focus to be. And the way that Nora said it was so amazing. It blew my mind. They said, pick your own adventure. That's what you're looking at with the birthday. So take it away, Nora. I'm so intrigued to find out what you found out.
Yes. So, your birthday, or in astrology terms, you could even call it your solar return. Um,
Ooh,
it's a key time because basically, you have your birth chart and that's a snapshot of you, but we're constantly growing and changing and having new opportunities. And so you can look at your chart for where and when you'll be on your birthday to kind of indicate over the next 6 months until your half solar return or your half birthday, what are some of the themes that you're going to be facing? What are some of the energies you're going to be working with? And
mm-hmm.
since astrology is kind of partially based on where you're located, you can actually influence that chart by changing your location for your birthday.
Wow, that is so cool. See, I just hadn't understood that piece of it. I knew it was important, but that's amazing. So you can actually, so that's the whole pick your own adventure. See, pick your level up, basically. That's cool.
Exactly. There's even little tricks you can do if you're willing to travel kind of anywhere. Then you could go
Mm-hmm.
somewhere specifically where there are certain,
Ooh,
you line a planet up with, something fortunate. Like there's your midheaven represents kind of your career. So one of
oh,
the tricks this one astrologer teaches is that you could line up your Jupiter so that it's making a friendly aspect like a trine with your midheaven. And especially if you can do that from the
wow.
house of abundance or the second house, then that can be a great career boost and you'll get paid well for it. So there's little tricks to lining everything up.
Oh my God. Is that true even for your half birthday?
Yes. So the next 6 months is determined by your half birthday. So you don't have to worry
Got
if
it.
I've had a bad solar return chart and then I had to remember it's okay. I'm working through and I'll get to that 6 month, moment and I have a
Yeah.
whole new chart. So it kind of resets everything a little bit.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so what did you find out about me? Like, did you explore any of the places and see their strengths or what they could unlock?
Yes. So there were some key differences in kind of, I see the charts as sort of stories. And there were some similarities between the stories, but there were a couple key differences. So one of the charts involved a Taurus ascendant. So that involves a Taurus ascendant. Taurus is a sign of fixed earth. It is very stable and it is very sensual. It's tuned into the 5 senses. So Taurus likes to jump into things that it doesn't even feel right to say that for Taurus because Taurus
Right.
likes to research and learn and
Oh,
take a lot of caution before embarking on something. But
wow.
once Taurus gets into something, it is
Yeah.
incredibly consistent, incredibly reliable. It will make the whole journey. On the other hand, the other
Yeah.
chart, so basically I looked at West Coast versus Central.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
in the other chart, I think for Kirkland, the ascendant
Yeah.
is in Aries. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, literally jumping out of the ether. It's the ram, and
Yeah.
it's unlike Taurus. It's not cautious. It's jumping right in. It is the warrior. It's unafraid.
Oh, I
However,
love that.
there is an
Yeah.
attention span to Aries. So Aries
Oh,
is great energy for starting things and getting into things, but it's
yeah.
not necessarily going to sustain unless that interest sustains, you know? Aries has to stay really interested in everything.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I feel like this is because it's interesting because we've had some things happening with the pets where one of them was the listeners know I have a cat that's epileptic. So he's been going into kind of a cycle of seizures, and so it's kind of kept precluded me from looking at going anywhere else for my birthday. But
Mm.
I want to be in Kirkland. And actually, this Aries energy is perfect for starting this thing, this special season 3 that I'm planning for Curious Cat. And then what I'm thinking is knowing that I have to kind of make myself not have ADHD about the project. I keep moving forward. And then maybe on my 6-month solar return, then I can like harness something that's more like Taurus, where I'm like digging in or whatever. Does that make sense?
Oh, completely. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic energy for beginning all these new things that you want to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because Aries is literally the sign of initiation, that first sign that
Yeah.
led the zodiac. So, and that's a great idea. And then follow it up in 6 months with something earthy, you know, to kind of
Ex-
balance it
I
out.
I love that. That is such a hack right there. Okay, and then you reminded me, I wanted to tell other people because I don't understand. You always hear about the different signs and there's fixed, there's mutable, there's what's the other third one? And then what are those three? What do they mean?
So,
What do those terms mean?
they are modalities. And
Ah,
so they are cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So basically, we have these 4 elements, right? We have fire,
yeah.
earth, air, water. But that's not enough to describe all the different energies that exist. So, to describe those better, we have the modalities. So, for each sign, let's say fire, there's a
Yeah.
cardinal fire sign, a fixed fire sign, and a mutable fire sign. And the same is true for every element. And basically, they're kind of like different ways of operating. So,
Yeah.
cardinal is going to deal with it's Aries. Aries is cardinal fire, or Capricorn, cardinal earth. Cardinal is leading the charge. It's innovating. It's thinking about what can we do with new energy? What's a new way to take things? You know, how do we kind of evolve? How do we come up with a new way forward? And they're kind of trailblazers, and they can seem a little crazy actually to people who are not very cardinal in their energy because they are working more with what could be than what is.
Wow.
And then
Oh
you
God,
have
that's amazing.
oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's so interesting.
So then there's fixed energy. And fixed is really helpful because let's say Cardinal sets a great tone. They come up with a great
Yeah.
vision and they bring it into reality. Well,
Yeah.
fixed energy is there to hold that energy. So they're there to sustain it and to keep it alive and to kind of draw it out. So you have, for instance, fixed earth is a Taurus. So they can be known as stubborn. All the fixed signs can be known as stubborn. And they
They
can be,
do. They
like,
are.
admittedly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, admittedly.
But it can be a very helpful stubborn because sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
need to hold that energy. We need to hold that vibration for everyone else. So they're there to do that.
Yeah.
And then, oh, yes, yes.
No, I was going to ask. So is Leo, um, I don't know who I'm thinking of, but is Leo a fixed sign? Because
Yes,
it seems stubborn.
it is. So Leo is fixed fire. So think about in that July time of year, late
Mm-hmm.
July, early August, the sun. It is at its most just hot and fiery and consistent. It's out as much as it can be. It's,
It
burning hot.
is.
It's that
Yeah, it
consistent
totally
heat.
is. It
Yeah, so
totally
that's
is.
that's like Leo. It's a very consistent heat. Whereas you have, for instance, Aries, that cardinal
Mm-hmm.
fire, they are beginning of spring. So beginning of spring, we have that initial burst of heat, but it's inconsistent.
Right.
It's not, long lived, but it leads us
It
into
does.
summer, which is that
It
cardinal energy.
it completely does. Okay, and then I interrupted your cycle of the 3. What's the third one? The
Mm,
third sign. Mutable.
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 So mutable energy is the one I'm still trying to learn the most about because I think I have the least of it in my chart. It's funny
Really?
how
Oh
we
my
have these
gosh.
biases.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Well, it must be in your like shadow, so maybe it'll be your superpower once you unlock more about it.
I know, maybe I just need more of it.
I
That's the
know.
thing. It's this
That's the
energy.
beautiful
Oh,
thing. Yeah,
it is. Oh,
that's
yeah. Because we have all of these energies. Everyone embodies all of these energies. And, if you don't, then that's a place where you could start working with that. So, if you find places where you're like, wow, I don't understand Aquarius, then maybe that's a good sign that you need to kind of work with
mhm.
that Aquarius energy and kind of understand it and see where it fits into yourself too.
Yeah.
But that
So the
mutable,
mutable, yeah.
we
We're
both.
both the same. We're like, but the mutable.
Like, yes. So that is like, so going with the fire series here, that would be like
Mhm.
Sagittarius.
Oh,
So think about the sun in that late fall, early winter. It's not very consistent. You could have those
mm-mm.
amazing warm days that just inspire you and they give you so much heart. With the coming winter, you're like, yeah, I know it's going to be dark and cold, but gosh, this burst of sun, it's amazing. It's getting me through. And then, sometimes it goes away. So you wouldn't really plan like an outdoor picnic for that season, right? Like it changes very
Right.
quickly. Mutable is kind of that changing energy. And it's dealing with the end of cycles. It's dealing with, that energy that's almost ready to kind of be recycled again. So
It feels very mulchy. It feels very compost, right? So it's
it
like,
is.
is it kind of like, because I feel like I can speak for all Sagittariuses right this moment, apparently, but it feels like we are really good at, and I'm criticized for it all the time. It's like picking and choosing what's working and what isn't. I even do it in the house. I'm like, okay, nobody's using this. Let's give it away, or let's move it here, or let's like change it up here. Like I'm constantly like reducing, reusing, recycling. That's part of mutable, right?
That is so mutable. It is. It's like the other sign, Virgo. So that's the mutable
Oh,
earth. And I love how I'm just talking about fire and earth because those are like two of my
wow.
favorites, I guess. They're
Mine
all
too.
signs are wonderful. But no,
They
earth.
are.
So Virgo is very similar because it's that mutable earth. So they can be known as perfectionistic and really always finding the flaw in something. But finding the fault in something is a way of healing because to heal you have to
Oh,
understand what's going wrong so you can fix it. So it's a way of
yeah,
healing energy.
but I have to speak for the Sagittarius that I've been kind of a jerk in my past because there's nicer ways to find fault and point them out than I've used in the past. So apologies for all of my Sagittarius sins. So
That cracks me
wait,
up.
but it's true. Oh my God, you've probably been on the other end of it multiple times. I'm so sorry. So what's the mutable water sign?
Pisces.
Oh,
So when you think about Pisces, and these are all, everything I'm saying really comes from like everything I read. I've read like so many different books and I recommend so many. And I'm sure those will be out there on the Curious Cat Instagram. But Pisces, think about the water. So if you look at the ocean, you have the top, you have the deep, and then in between, you have this place where warm water and cold water are just swirling. It's chaotic. It is kind of constantly changing. That's where Pisces
yes.
lives, and it's a interesting place. I mean, as Roland Legrand says, it could drag down even a very excellent swimmer. So it's a
Wow.
because they're in that space where literally, I mean, we think that it feels the same to be a human in general, but it really
Yeah.
doesn't. And for Pisces, they are actually constantly feeling and absorbing their whole environment. So
Oh my
that can be
gosh.
great and it can be overwhelming, I imagine, which is kind of like that swirling water.
That would be so. And then I also think of those places because, where salt water hits fresh water, and they
Mm.
want to kind of separate like oil and water do sometimes in those places where the water is brackish. It's a very strange place where, like, I think of the Mississippi Delta and where it empties out, and all of those places physically, they are tumultuous places. That would be exhausting to be a Pisces.
Oh, it would be. And that's actually why Pisces has a reputation for always kind of looking or being tired. Because if you're constantly taking in
Yeah.
all of your environment and adapting to that and dealing with that, whether you're aware of it or not, that
Yeah.
would be draining.
That would be so completely draining. You looked at, so what's my moon sign? Since I am Sagittarius, I don't know. And so my moon sign is based on where I was born and then the time I was born. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So it's going to be based on that time. The moon kind of changes signs about every 2.5 days. Um,
Oh, okay.
so your moon is in Virgo, so that's that mutable Earth.
I'm very mutable on all aspects. That's really interesting.
It is. And it's very cool too, because what you were describing about, kind of going through things in the house and kind of, picking out things, that's
Moving.
very Virgo.
It is. I know. I move stuff. Everybody in the family knows. That's why Nora's laughing right now, because it's like if something goes missing, they're like, "Where'd you put it, Mom?" Or my husband, "Where'd you put it, Jen?" I'm like, "I didn't move it." And most of the time I did move it. And I don't know why I hide behind that lie every time. Like, I don't know what happened to it. And then I look at the dog, Cooper or whatever. So yeah, it's true. I didn't realize that I was just honoring my moon side.
Exactly.
So awful.
Exactly. Well, Virgo,
Wow.
in the olden days, they called it the Virgin, but in our modern view of symbols, I
Yeah.
love the term the Harvester. Because that
Ooh,
really matches up with the energy. We don't really talk about virgins anymore, let alone have a stereotype
no.
for them. But harvesters, we
Yeah, thank
understand.
God.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Oh my
Thank
God.
goodness. But it's
Yeah,
that,
thank God for some forward progress.
oh, I know, right?
Oh,
We'll
dear
take it.
God.
But it's that prep, that like it's the end of summer, getting, and kind of beginning of fall. It's like getting
Yes.
ready for winter. Like, okay, we've got to harvest everything from the fields and we've got to organize. Like Virgo is so organized because you have to be organized to get ready for winter, to
Yeah.
survive, right?
Yeah. So just this is an off the cuff question, but have you ever encountered like we love all of the signs and all of the combinations of people, but has there ever been one that has felt very much like, it's almost like a polar opposite, like I'm trying to think of myself as like, has there air, because there are definitely signs I don't think I remember ever encountering. And so it's interesting because I pull myself towards the signs that I seem to work the best with naturally, instinctually. But I'm trying to think of any signs in particular that I'm like, ooh, not my type of person. I don't know.
Oh, well, it's interesting because the whole of the zodiac is in polarity. So every sign has an opposite, and it's all about finding that balance between the two.
Hmm.
That's really the place of mastery, is if you can balance the two energies. So it makes sense that there are things that would be uncomfortable until you kind of investigate and see if you can pull those into more alignment with you, or not. Maybe I get it.
Right.
Maybe you want to avoid it,
No.
and that's fine too.
Well, yeah. And I'm wondering, well, that's my thing is I wondered, I was kind of calling BS on myself is like, do I avoid? Because my opposite sun sign, I think, is Gemini, isn't it? Exactly opposite, which is like my husband is exactly opposite of my birthday. But it's interesting because it's worked for us because we sometimes look at each other like, why do you think of it that way? Why are you doing it that way? And then we're kind of like, I'm kind of curious and I'm intrigued. And so then we lean into it, and it kind of expands and broadens our definition of who we are, because we tend to adopt a lot of each other's ways of doing it after we've criticized it and scrutinized it. So for us, it's been kind of a healthy, interesting way of having a relationship, and it's made it perpetually interesting, I think. So I don't know.
I think that's a great way to grow and evolve, actually. I always find I'm a Capricorn sun, and I
Yeah.
always end up being um, close friends, or my partner also, with Cancer. So
Wow.
that's Capricorn's opposite, and I find that it helps you kind of balance your energy. But also, I think that
Wow.
the polarities, not only are they opposites, but they are discussing the same thing. They're focused on the same thing. They just have
Yeah.
different ways of approaching it.
Yeah.
So with Sagittarius and Gemini, both are concerned with understanding and information and education,
Yeah.
but they have completely different ways of going about that. Sagittarius wants to understand kind of the universal thread with everything. They want to understand kind of the divine truth and the one size fits all. Gemini, on the other hand, it's ruled by Mercury, so it's very mercurial. So it wants to take every little bit of information, all these different genres, it wants to break them apart, label them, and then try to understand them. So they love science, they love different systems because they understand, okay, this is a system. And they love, technology inventions. They want to see, okay, well, what could you do if we just break this apart? And okay, we only have the rules of logic. What could you build with that? Or, oh my goodness, look at these technological inventions. They made it with just these wires. And they love to see, by breaking things apart, how can you understand them? What can you build with them? So it's funny because they both
Wow.
care about this truth, finding truth,
Y-
but
Yeah.
they both have such opposite ways. Gemini's like as many sources as possible, and Sagittarius is like, let's go to that one divine source.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And then you and your sister decided to incarnate into this family with these parents that have these strengths and these weaknesses, that we have. And to me, it's so interesting. So it kind of goes back to our past lives, right? And what we wanted to achieve with our soul contract in this life, in my view. And so it's interesting. So can astrology kind of unearth our past lives as well? And
Yes,
like
it
our shadow
can.
selves that we're trying to deal with in this life?
Completely. So I totally recommend Rasa Lila Healing and this book on Pluto by Jeff Green. The
Oh,
name is
yeah.
failing me. It's called like Pluto.
I
That's
think it
pretty much the
is.
title, but
Yeah.
basically, you can look at Pluto in your chart to understand your past and where you need to go in the future. So, it's interesting for me bringing up, the family,
Yeah.
because my past, where Pluto sits in my chart, it
Yeah.
is Sagittarius. So, I have had very Sagittarian past lives, and this is true for anyone born within that same year of me. People kind of come in waves and karmic waves of kind of what we're here to do.
Yeah.
So I've had very Sagittarian past lives, and it's interesting because your sun, Mom, sits right near that for me.
Oh
Whereas
my God.
Dad's sun sits across from that. So that would be called, you call it your Pluto polarity point. It's across from Pluto. And basically what it means is, if you want to grow and evolve and change from your past, it's where you need to go. It's what you need to do. So it's interesting because it's like, well, perhaps we've had many past lives in common, and the dad is
Yeah.
new, but he's kind of helping to show me how to evolve and how to grow.
Holy smokes. You just blew my mind again, because you gave yourself some comfort when your soul contract, you gave yourself the comfort of going, I know you are the energy I've been a lot. And then it's like, and now I have someone new, and you're going to help me to get out of my comfort zone and to level up basically and learn some new things. And it's so dynamic. That's really amazing.
It really is. That's the fun of looking at karmic astrology and the synastry, because that's kind of both in one, right? And
Yeah.
it's really neat what it reveals. But it helps too, because if you can understand, your past. So you can also bring in your north node and south node. So
Yeah.
your north node is what you're trying to do in this life that's new or that's different. Your south node is going to be
That's
opposite, and
yours.
that is what you've already mastered. And it's not, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It
Right.
is finding the balance between the two. Okay, so we did, for me, I did a lot of Pisces stuff. So,
Hmm.
my
Wow.
Pluto's in my second house of abundance. So basically the story that's starting to come out is, I've had these very philosophical lives, and my abundance came through Pisces, through art and creativity, or maybe psychic work. And now what I need to do is my north node. So mine is in Virgo in the 11th house. So I need to bring maybe healing and organization and all those Virgo qualities to the
Yeah.
collective. So it's
Wow.
interesting. You can get yourself a roadmap of like, okay, here's what I've been doing, and here's how I can change.
Oh, it's just so powerful. I don't know why people don't see astrology as critical knowledge about themselves. It's intimate critical knowledge. It's just, all of the, because we fail at things, we try things, we do them, repeat them for years, and it's like the astrological knowledge of ourselves just it just kind of helps us to hack our own lives so much faster.
It does. It really helps you understand, because these karmic things, like Pluto, it can also indicate, themes that you're going to see in your childhood, because we carry into our childhood. If you believe in past
Yeah,
lives, we carry that into our
I
childhood.
do.
And if you don't believe in past lives, well, it's in your childhood.
Yeah,
So, it can help you understand those patterns. And so instead of like, oh, why did this happen to me? Why did this have to happen to
yeah.
me? Now you're like, oh, this was part of my growth. This had to
Mm-hmm.
happen. I had to be raised this way so I could become X, Y, and Z, or see these
Right.
patterns, or what have you. And it's also nice because you're right. Like, you can find those things that you're doing that maybe, Pluto's the unconscious. So you can see what you're
Yeah.
unconscious of. Like, mine with Pluto and Sagittarius, I can be unconscious of maybe evangelizing my position. I can have that philosophical truth and be like, okay, well, everyone, like, let's get with the philosophical
Exactly.
truth I have.
Exactly.
Like,
Oh
but
my
it's,
God.
oh, we gotta
I'm
hear other
guilty.
perspectives.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I'm guilty of that as well. Well, okay. And then you had mentioned these amazing books, your favorite resources, and I just want everybody to know I'm putting the links to those in the show notes, and I will have those on socials. I'll just take a picture of the covers. That Pluto book looks incredible, and all of them look great. I have the Essential Astrology book because you recommended it to me. And we went to Ritual Craft, which is my favorite shop in Denver, and I bought it there. Or maybe you sneaky bought it for me, which I think that's actually more the truth. But I will put those links in the show notes. But before we close, I wanted to ask, can we do astrology? Can we do kind of little readings on the pets in our lives? And can we learn? Because they don't have words. And so they're really looking to us to be the stewards of their, health and wellness. So can we use astrology to unlock some information about our little furry friends?
Definitely. And it's tricky if you don't know the exact time that your pet was born. But
Yeah.
if you know the day or the general
Hmm.
time, that can give you some information. So, for instance, my kitty, I adopted him. So I don't know exactly when he was born, but I know
Hmm.
enough to know, okay, well, he has a Taurus sun, which is very him. And it helps because, yes, like, he loves routine, and that is really emotionally stable to him. So that's very Taurus. So it's great because then I can honor routines for him. I can honor his
Hmm.
senses. Taurus loves senses. So I can, bring in toys or treats and things that honor that and can bring him more comfort. So even if you don't know a lot, it actually can still be really helpful.
Oh, and it's like when you were home for Thanksgiving, we were talking about Cooper, the dog, and how he has Scorpio. Was that right? And then what was
Yes.
the phrase that you said for Scorpio? Scorpio's phrase.
Yes. According to Roland Legrand, this is not directly from me, but the phrase for Scorpio is I desire.
Oh, that's
So
so true. It's constantly, I desire another treat. I desire a walk. I desire your attention. I couldn't even hug you guys without him barking and wanting to be petted while I was like hugging you.
Oh, I know. That is very Scorpio too. Scorpio's Pluto. So Pluto, maybe its shadow could be a little controlling or a little possessive. So
Mhm.
Cooper is really that. He can really be that.
Oh my God, he's so that. Oh, and I lied. I wanted to ask you one other thing. Is there, I don't know, it's not quite the end of the year yet. When this comes out, it'll be the beginning of 2023. But as looking at astrology, can you look ahead at maybe some things that you see in the planets, some changes in things out there that you can kind of predict, this might happen, or we might see more or less of this in 2023?
Oh, yes, definitely. So that is electional astrology, and there's some
Oh,
amazing
okay.
astrologers that study that. And yes, it's amazing actually because they can even show you, you know, different historical events where these aspects happened. So,
Mhm.
with basically countries have natal charts. They have a time and place they were born. So you can use that actually to understand countries. So there's something called a Pluto return, and that is kind of when Pluto makes it back to that original spot it was in when the country was born.
Yeah.
So that I don't know all the specifics, but I mean like the French Revolution, there were revolutions in
Wow.
China, like all these different countries,
Yeah.
they have dealt with these shakedowns during their Pluto return. And
Oh
we are
my
in the
gosh.
process of ours in the United States. And it takes place over years because Pluto moves
Yeah.
so slowly. So
Yeah.
you look that up and
Wow.
do some research because there's some really interesting astrologers out there talking about it. It's very fun to learn about.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, thank you so much for being on Curious Cat. What a juicy conversation.
Oh, thank you. I know it's so fun to discuss all this together.
Oh my gosh. Just promise me you'll come back to Curious Cat.
I promise. Oh, twist my arm.
Thank you for listening to Curious Cat. If you like the content, stories, and information, I'd be grateful if you could like and review us on your favorite streaming service. It'll help others find us as well. Huge gratitude for my art director and audio engineer. If you're in need of those services, please find their links in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay curious. I love you.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you looking for a new podcast that appeals to your scientific curiosity, but is also a little bit spooky?
Show me how I died in a past life.
Well, look no further, because this cat is where it's at.
He had concerns about the ethics surrounding AI, feeling they had achieved consciousness.
Curious Cat Podcast examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. Listen every week with your host, Jennifer Holtz, as she and her guests explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit.
We were healing karma together. They were all kind of predestined to resolve something.
Listen on all your favorite streaming apps and continue the conversation on Twitter at CuriousCatPodCA, or find Jennifer and all her links at Jennifer L. Holtz, spelled HOTES.com.